वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। To the Bhagavatam prayers. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha nandagopakumaraya govindaya namo namaha. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. So you all can hear me, I guess. So thank you for giving an opportunity to read and discuss this particular Bhagavatam verse among the devotees here in Portland. And this is the second time I'm probably giving the Bhagavatam class, means the Bhagavatam session. Thank you for the opportunity. And today's verse is actually Arjuna is remembering all the things, the Pandavas, the relationship, whatever they experienced throughout their life with Krishna. Because he went and now coming back and explaining to Yudhishthir, because he already knew that Krishna is left the planet and he was now with gratitude and all those emotions that are all coming to his heart. So he's actually sharing in a confidential manner his heart. This is the first time Arjuna is actually sharing his heart. So in this particular chapter. So one other thing is like is now remembering the infamous incident that happened in the Kuru assembly, that actually the cause of the destruction. So this is actually the main cause of destruction. So that is the verse which we are actually in. So the verse is actually small, purport is small, but the scene behind it, and then how he actually said the entire Kurukshetra scene, how actually Krishna decided to act, is all based on this particular scene in Mahabharata. So let's read the verse. Patnyastavarimakaklupta mahabhisheka Slagishtacharukabaram kitavai sabhayam Sprashtam vikirya padayo patitasrumukhaya Yastastriyo kritahatesha vimukta kesha. And repeat, Prabhu, anybody?
You can repeat 3 times,
okay.
And then devotees will repeat the whole
Patnyastavadi makaklupta mahabhisheka Slagishtacharukabaram kitavai sabhayam Sprashtam vikirya padayo patitasrumukhaya Yastastriyo kritahatesha vimukta kesha. पत्न्यास्तवादिमकक्लुप्त महाभिषेका श्लाघिष्टचारुकबरं कितवै सभायां स्पृष्टं विकीर्य पदयो पतिताश्रुमुखया यस्तस्त्रियो कृतहतेश विमुक्तकेशाः. So anybody wants to repeat online?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can I go?
Yes,
But I can try, Prabhu. Patnyasthavadi makaklipta mahabhisheka slagishtacharu kavaram kitavai sabhayam sprushtam vikirya padayo patitasrumukya yastat sriyo akrita hatesha vimukta kesha. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Okay. Patnyastavaadhimakakritta mahabhisheka Shlagishtacharukabaram kitavai sabhaya Srishtam vikirya padayo patitashumukhaya यस्तत् स्त्रियो कृतहतेश विमुक्तकेशा.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
I would like to try, Prabhu. Just a
Sure.
पन्त्यास्तवादिमखा क्लप्त महाभिषेका श्लाघिस्ताचारु कबरं कवि
Kitawai.
कितवै शबायां स्पष्टां विकीर्य पदयो
Patitasu.
पतिताश्रु मुखाया तस्तत् श्रुत्योकृत हतेष्व विमुक्तकेशः. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare
So,
Krishna. Can I try, Prabhuji?
anyone else, or can I continue?
Yeah, I would like to try, Prabhuji.
Please, please.
1 second. My screen got. पत्न्यस्तवाधिमकक्लुप्तमहाभिषेका श्लाघिष्टचारुकबरं कितवै सभायाम् स्पृष्टं विकीर्य पदयो पतिताश्रुमुख्या यस्तत् श्रियो कृतहतेश विमुक्तकेशा. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. You all.
Sorry for interrupting.
So let's go to the word by word. Patnya, of the wife, Tava, your, Adhimaka, during the great sacrificial ceremony, Klupta, dressed, Mahabhisheka, greatly sanctified, Slaghishta, thus glorified, Charu, beautiful, Kabaram, clustered hair, Kitavaihi, by the miscreant, Sabhayam, in the great assembly, Prastam, being caught, Vikirya, being loosened, Padayo, on the feet, Patita Asru Mukhya, of the one who fell down with tears in the eyes, here he, that they, Striyaha, wives, Akrita, became Hataisha, bereft of husbands, Vimukta Keshaha, loosened hair. So this is, it was he only who loosened the hair of all the wives of the miscreant who dared upon the cluster of your queen's hair. He dared open the cluster of your queen's hair, which had been nicely dressed and sanctified for the great Rajasuya sacrificial ceremony. At that time, she fell down at the feet of Lord Krishna with the tears in her eyes. So here, Arjuna is saying, as I said earlier, the Bhagavatam is actually confidential matter. Then Arjuna is opening his heart also to you, talking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So let's read the purport before we start the explanation. Queen Draupadi had a beautiful bunch of hair which was sanctified in the ceremonial function of Rajasuya Yajna. But when she was lost in a bet, Dushasana touched her glorified hair to insult her. Draupadi then fell down at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna decided that all the wives of Dushasana and company should have their hair loosened as a result of the battle of Kurukshetra. Thus, after the battle of Kurukshetra, after all the sons and grandsons of Dhritarashtra died in battle, all the wives of the family were obliged to loosen their hair as widows. In other words, all the wives of Kuru family became widows because of Dushasana's insulting a great devotee of the Lord. The Lord can tolerate insults upon himself by any miscreant because the father tolerates even insults from the son, but he never tolerates insults upon his devotees. By insulting a great soul, one has to forego all the results of pious acts and benedictions also. So this is blaspheming the devotees. It's not only blaspheming, in this case, it went beyond that in case of Draupadi. Because Draupadi is the chaste lady and is also she is the wife of Pandavas who are actually considered as the Rajarshis, saintly people, and they are devotees of the Lord. So the Lord was not happy with what happened. But then why he did arrangement? Because what happened in that assembly when Dushasana dragged her, actually that if you read Mahabharata, that particular incident, I'm just going to read here from Bhagavatam, Mahabharata. Dushasana roared in anger and ran after her. He grabbed hold of her long wavy hair and forcibly pulled her along with him. As he dragged Draupadi by her bluish locks, the shameless prince recalled how that same hair had been sprinkled with the sanctified water of Rajasuya. So that is a reference here. Previously, Rajasuya Yajna happened, and Draupadi was treated like she's the queen. So she was treated with such a great respect and reverence. Now is pulling the same hair. Ignoring her plaintive cries, he pulled her out into the palace passageways. It's not that he just, okay, let's go, move on. He just dragged her through the passageways in the hall, and where all the people are actually watching. So Draupadi spoke to him in a low voice, "O rude one, wretch, you should not take me before the assembly. How can I appear there in my present condition, dressed only in a single cloth?" So you can see Dushasana goes, he says, it doesn't matter, O Panchali, whether you are attired in one cloth or naked. We have won you, and you must now live among our servant women as best as you can. So this is what happened in front of the Pandavas and full assembly, which has Bhishmadev, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Vidura, Vikarna, Kauravas, and the blind king Dhritarashtra and the Gandhari. The king was there, the king's ministers were there, all the Mahajanas were there, all the gurus were there, and the family was there, and the cousins were there. In front of all of them, Draupadi was actually insulted. So Draupadi naturally was angry, and all the Pandavas, they sat helpless, and they could not hold their tears, and they are become Kshatriyas, and Bhima could not control. But who spoke against this atrocity that happened? She kept on pleading, if this is not the right, if anyone here can tell me why this is happening. None of them actually speaks. Not even one. She kept on doing this. Finally, one person, one of the brothers of Kauravas, Vikarna. Vikarna stands up. Vikarna stands up saying that this is not right, what is happening. He's the only one who had the courage to say that this is not right, and the assembly needs to answer Draupadi's questions. At that time, she again addresses Bhishmadev. Bhishmadev remains silent. He's agitated. He's fighting his tears, but he did not take a decision. He actually leaned towards not on the spiritual principle whether it should be done. He's on a technical basis. He could not decide whether what is happening is dharma or not. And that is what he says to Draupadi, I am unable to decide this. So even Bhishmadev, though he understood what is right, he actually didn't fight for it. He just stood helpless. Or he took the shelter of the moral codes of that time. Then Vidura speaks up. Vidura is the saintly person in the entire assembly, the brother of Dhritarashtra. Vidura actually gets up and he actually says, this is actually not right. So he actually narrates a story where what is the need of, let me remind that. This is the story of Prahlada's son Virochana. Once he had actually quarreled with a rishi named Sudhanva for the sake of a bride. I think they're getting married, finding a bride or something like that. So they both had gone to Prahlada and asked, which of us is superior? Answer is truthfully. Sudhanva is the Maharshi and Virochana is the son of Prahlada. So Prahlada looked at both of them and said nothing because Sudhanva became angry when he said nothing. The same thing is happening in Kuru's assembly, people are sitting silent. So if you do not answer, or if you answer falsely, then your head will break into 100 pieces. This was Sudhanva's. Actually, all these wishes are powerful. They can do whatever they want. So Prahlada, trembling with fear, he actually consulted the celestial sage Kashyapa. He says, O exalted one, tell me what regions are obtained by one who, being asked such a question, does not reply or answers falsely. What reason means? Hellish or heaven. Where will this go? If a question is asked, if they don't answer it truthfully, what will happen? Prahlad is saintly king, right? So Kashyapa said, he who knows but does not answer, if you know the answer, but if you know but you don't answer, out of lust, anger, or fear, is bound by Varuna's 1,000 nooses. So whenever you know this, you have the knowledge, you know the truth, but you don't speak at the right time, he says Varuna's 1,000 nooses are actually tied to you. He who is called as witness, but who speaks falsely, is similarly punished. Somebody who is a witness also gets the same punishment. After 1 full year, 1 noose is loosened. So first of all, 1,000 nooses. One particular noose is loosened. And this continues for 1,000 years. Therefore, one should speak the truth as he knows it. If virtue, pierced by sin, goes to an assembly, that means there's a picture is virtue is a person and is actually pierced by sin, a dot, right? And goes to an assembly, it is the duty of every man there to remove the dot. Every man, not even single, no, now this time is going further, right? If they fail to do so, then that same dart will pierce them. In an assembly where a censurable act is not rebuked, every member of that assembly is afflicted by sin. Every member, even if you are a silent spectator. Grief will overcome them in due course. After hearing Kashyapa's words, Prahlada said to his son, Sudhanva is undoubtedly your superior, because he is a Rishi. As much as his father Angirasa is mine. The Sudhanva's father is Angirasa. So Sudhanva immediately blessed Prahlada. As you have spoken the truth without being moved by affection for your son, may he live for 100 years. See that in this particular story, everything, Sabha, assembly, the act which happened to Draupadi, and in the assembly nobody spoke and nobody even tried to remove the dot, and everybody silently participating. Some are actually speaking, some are actually on the Duryodhana side. And the Sudhanva's words to Saint Sudhanva, actually what did he say? Without moving by affection for your son, to Prahlada. So here Prahlada is a saintly person, he knows what to do. But Dhritarashtra was affected by the affection for his son and is not taking a decision. So it's also all possible, whatever everything T's and what, they're all crossed out here. They're all met the condition. And what happens? In such a case, the entire assembly is destroyed. So Vidura concluded, hearing this great instruction about religion, let all those present deliberate on what should be done. Draupadi should be given an answer. So Vidura spoke. So now, without understanding the Mahabharata setting, by looking at this, the people say, why Krishna arranged this great fratricidal war between the cousins? He's heartless. Why did he do that? Because Krishna knew that very moment Draupadi was actually dragged into the assembly by Dushasana, the days numbered for Kauravas. Because even Bhishma Dev knows. If Vidura knows, means, you think Bhishma doesn't know? Bhishma knows. Still he remained silent. So that is something unacceptable. Especially from a caliber of Bhishma Dev. That's the reason even the Bhishma Dev, however valiant, however Mahajan, great Mahajan he is, he ended up on fighting on the wrong side of the war. So he has to, the battle lost, and he himself actually leave his body. So here, if you go and let me take some previous places where this was spoken, this was talked about. In the verse 821, in the same chapter, same canto, 1:822, last part of the purport, Prabhupada says, Lord Krishna as Govinda is more inclined to the Brahmanas and the cows, indicating that thereby that human prosperity depends more on these two items, namely Brahmanical culture and cow protection. Lord Krishna is never satisfied where these are lacking, never satisfied. So in this case, what happened is a Brahminical culture. Can anybody say it can happen in certain cases? Like any exceptions to this? What happened in the assembly of Kurus? Answer is no. That's what we actually said, read the Viduras asking that question to assembly and narrating this pastime of Prahlada and Virochana and Sudhanva. So it's clearly wrong. So this is actually broken. The system is broken in that very assembly. On top of it, we have one more place where Krishna speaks about the passing away of Bhishma Dev. As I mentioned earlier, it is a chapter 9, verse 16, last part of the paragraph, purport. Even a great fighter like Bhishma could not win the battle of Kurukshetra because the Lord wanted to show that vice cannot conquer virtue, regardless of who tries to execute it. Bhishma Dev was a great devotee of the Lord, but he chose to fight against the Pandavas by the will of the Lord. Again, the will of the Lord is also present. Because the Lord wanted to show that a fighter like Bhishma cannot win on the wrong side. So this is very important in our lives. First of all, every day we read not to blaspheme the devotees. So this is actually went beyond that. And top of it, even if you're a saintly person, if you end up on the wrong side, if you keep silent, you're going to be defeated, because dharma will not protect you on that particular point, because Krishna himself is said here, right? Bhishma could not win. The reason for this is on the wrong side of the war. So in the same here, like if you keep on reading, there are many things why Pandavas have to be protected. Okay, how come Pandavas are actually on the right side? Okay, we're all saying maybe Duryodhana is also on the wrong side. So Pandavas, undoubtedly, they were completely dependent on the goodwill of Lord Sri Krishna. This again, let me give you the word. Chapter 8, verse 37. They are actually dependent on the goodwill of Lord Sri Krishna, but they were not idle parasites of the Lord. Dependency doesn't mean for everything you actually take what next, what next, what next. Parasite means you just stuck to the body and just keeps eating the main body, right? So Pandavas are not like that. They were highly qualified both by personal character and by physical activities. Still, they always looked for the mercy of the Lord because they knew that every living being is dependent by constitutional position. The perfection of life is, therefore, to become dependent on the will of the Lord instead of becoming falsely independent in the material world. Now, what is the will of the Lord here? He already willed, because he already protected Draupadi in that assembly by supplying the unlimited sari. And second time, after that, she again, Dushasana doesn't leave after that also. So finally, Dhritarashtra intervenes after all these things. He intervenes saying that, okay, I will give you 2 boons. Draupadi asked for it. So she asked for the 2 boons, that she wanted her husbands to be freed. So granted. Second, give back all the wealth, property, whatever they have given. Then Dhritarashtra says, I'll give you 3rd boon. I'll give the 3rd. But Draupadi declined, saying that a woman cannot, as it looks like there is a principle of dharma that whatever is given in the beginning, 2, and you should not ask more than 2. Even if he is given, 3rd one, you should not ask for it. 3rd one, you should, even somebody offers it. So, I don't know, there are very subtle rules like that. But Mahabharata says that 2 rules, you already given 2 boons, that's enough. 3rd one is not needed. So here, but the fear is still there. The Mahabharata says later what happened after the incident. So Pandavas finally took Draupadi and started heading out to their kingdoms. Before they reach their kingdom, Duryodhana approaches Dhritarashtra again. Then on the Shakuni's advice, let's invite them for the second time for the dice game. One more time. Because he knew in that assembly previously, Bhima actually with an anger he took two pratijñas. What are the two things? One is he says he will drink the blood of Dushasana. He will pierce the heart of the Dushasana and drink the blood. And applies that to the locks of the Draupadi's the hair, right? And second one is when Duryodhana says, "Come and sit on my lap." He says, "I will break that tie." So Bhima, once he takes a vow, everybody in the assembly knows he's going to fulfill it. Those words will not go in vain. So that time itself, all the people know. And Duryodhana's fear was right. He says, we have given all their material things what they asked for. We freed them. We give them their property back, everything. But I know Bhima took this vow, he is not going to leave us. He is going to kill us. They will find another reason, they'll come and kill us. So it's better we devise a plan. They go into an exile for how many years, bro? 12 years? 13 years. 1 year is the 12 plus 1. So 13 years, 1 year in incognito, and 12 years like this, normal in one of us kind of thing. And in the 13th year, if they are found, they have to repeat the same thing again. So by this arrangement, there is no war, and we keep on sending them. We'll somehow are so confident. They'll be found definitely, and then they'll be sent again and again. And meanwhile, it gives me time to build friendship among all the kings, so we can actually fight against Pandavas and we can enjoy this kingdom forever. So please accept this proposal. Dhritarashtra, out of his affection, and also like Gandhari again repeats, Gandhari you have to give her the credit. He says, Vidura already told, this son of ours is not pious, is wicked. In fact, he said, give him up when he was born, but we didn't do it. Again, he's doing that. Please don't listen. Let's not follow his words. Gandhari says. But Dhritarashtra listens all the things. Again, he fell for his sons, the love, the affection, wrongly placed affection. And then says, okay, let's call them for the second dice game. So now you know what happens. Second dice game, they lose, they go on the incognito and the vanvas and other thing. And but the whole exile shows how Pandavas actually depended on Krishna and how they were happy when they had a kingdom, when they didn't have the kingdom, and how in incognito also they were protected by various elements. And finally they came into the war and they won the war. Again, Krishna was present. So here, it's not Krishna's fault. Dharma will take care of these things when we are actually when we do something wrong. There's a material nyaya that will happen. You cannot blame Krishna. If you go and touch the fire, you cannot blame the fire saying why it burnt you. So dharma has to be handled very carefully. And that's what Mahabharata it actually explains all these things in the stories the common man can understand. Ramayana is good. Ramayana is like ideal King Rama. And when we read Ramayana, we feel, okay, can we be like Rama? We cannot be like a Rama. But Mahabharata, we can always find our nature in one of those characters. When we read Mahabharata, we can identify, okay, am I like a Vidura? Am I like a Bhishma? Am I like a Vikarna? Or am I like a Duryodhana? Right? Or am I Dhritarashtra? Or am I like a Pandu? So there we have so many characters in Mahabharata. You can actually relate to one, and then you can actually say, no, ideal definition of person is Pandavas. So how can I become like Pandavas? How can I get the mercy of the Lord Sri Krishna? How can I be on the Krishna's side? How can I be, my position is related to Krishna, not to this material world. This material world throws us so many charms and these kind of challenges, and we get bewildered because when we don't have a spiritual master or a person who actually we can depend on for our answers, we actually tend to take decisions by people who do not have any spirituality at all. And that could be our friends, family, whoever that is. The person may be materially so expert in this world, but he has zero spiritual knowledge. When we depend on such person, we actually going to get our life permanently fixed in this material world. So that's the reason. Somehow or other, we have to get connected to Krishna. And when you get connected to Krishna, you will see how Krishna actually arranges certain things nicely, and that is the will of the Lord. So in this case, Arjuna is actually reminiscing all those things, which the relationship with Krishna, and how many times Krishna actually, he's a devotee, right? What will a devotee remember? Only his relation and whatever happened with Krishna. But this particular thing, why was mentioned here, is because the root cause of this entire war that happened. The whole Mahabharata revolved around Kauravas and Pandavas fighting. If anybody says why Krishna acted, is you have to bring it to this point. So you may say, oh, is that such a great punishment? Just by dragging the Draupadi into the Sabha like this, does it need to be like arranged like a big fight between them? Yes. So Krishna is just decided these Kauravas are now cannot be on the earth. So that is the Krishna's compassion towards Pandavas, and there is a dharma. When it's broken, what happens? And the Pandavas' relationship with Krishna, and how they are actually remembering all these things. And this is actually setting the stage for Pandavas to retire timely. The word is timely here. So we all come to a stage where we have to make the decision timely. And also this tells Arjuna is perfectly very well, he knows, even Pandavas knew that now the main person Krishna has gone. They knew all their success, all their things is actually because of Krishna. And when such a person, Krishna leaves, right? When Krishna left the body, leave this world for his abode, leaving all his dear friends and relatives, friends decided it's no more. Now we also, Krishna himself decided it's time to go back to his world. It's a time for us also. So a lot of times when you are successful, if you remember, it's all happened to because of your Guru Maharaj Kripa or devotee's Kripa or Krishna's Kripa. That's right. But the time also will come then we have to now take shelter of Krishna permanently, right? So that's what Mahabharata is right from the beginning. So Srimad Bhagavatam narrating how Parikshit decided in the face of facing a death. The whole Bhagavatam is born because of Shukadeva Goswami giving the instruction. And within these instructions are instructions and instructions and instruction. And here, so naturally, it's not just theory. It is actually shown by the example of these exalted devotees like Pandavas. So we have to write. We are all at different stages. Some are in that stage, retiring, somebody is not, but somebody is depending on starting their career, whatever that is. In all these situations, depend on Krishna. And remember, it's Krishna's plan. It doesn't, and the one word Prabhupada said in the purport, Pandavas are not parasites. That means, oh, I'm depending on Krishna, so I don't need to do anything. You need to do your duty. You don't need to worry about the results. Just leave the results to Krishna. And use your intelligence. Krishna has also given you intelligence. You should not go into walk into the fire saying that Krishna will protect me. Because you have been given an intelligence not to walk into the fire. So material intelligence also, that intelligence also given by Krishna only. So use that intelligence wisely. Take shelter of some spiritual personality or some mentor and mold your life in such a way you will not blaspheme the devotees. Hare Krishna. Any questions or any comments online?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Please
Krishna.
accept my humble obeisances, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for your presentation and expanding from this verse, that brief summary of the Mahabharata and the purport. My question is, we hear once Rupa Goswami or Sanatana Goswami was smiling in bhajan, and there was a devotee who was walking by who was bent in 6 places. So this was an unintentional response from the Goswami, but he was cursed the same way. And so I wonder what it's like in Kali Yuga. If we're not intentionally blaspheming the devotees, what is the possibility of our getting caught up in these kinds of misunderstandings?
If you come to know that such thing happened, first of all, if you don't come to know, then we can't do anything, right? But here in this case, when Goswami came to know about this, what happened, Prabhu, exactly in that case?
So he could sense that there is
Something,
some,
the dhyan is broken, right?
his dhyan was broken,
Broken,
and
yeah.
something was not right. And then he went and asked his elder brother, Sri Sanatana Goswami,
What could be the cause?
what to do, how to find out. And then he said, call everybody for a feast. And
One person
one
would have-
person, whoever doesn't show up, has been offended. So like that, he finds out and goes and asks for forgiveness and explains the situation, that he was actually meditating on something else because of which he smiled, not on him.
Correct. So if you see that, Sanatana Goswami, yeah, Rupa Goswami.
Rupa Goswami smiled, but Sanatana Goswami
Sanatana
gave him the
Goswami.
advice.
Yeah, so Rupa Goswami went out of means. He didn't leave it at that. Even such, like, how many times, like when you're doing the chanting, when our chanting is not perfect, that day, particular day, something, you know, something is bothering you, that's why it's not happening. How many of us actually introspect and ask somebody why this is happening? We don't. We take it for granted, because our case is like, if you are able to focus for 1 minute, that's a great thing. That's our target metric. Not that I'm 100% I'm focused on my chanting and 1% somewhere is broken. So Rupa Goswami is on a different platform. So, but for us, if you come to know, that means we are completely awake in the material world. That means we have definitely some understanding why that is happening. We might have committed by mistake, by our own unknowingly, some action, by words and by thoughts, right? But in Kali Yuga, thoughts are not punished, that but actions and words which come out of your mouth will have consequences. So knowing that, if you reflect back any any situation where if you felt something different, like slight anger or distressed, whatever that feeling, you know what we did prior to that. So in such a case, you may not directly go on that person, okay, I made a mistake kind of thing, because you don't want to be like, I don't know whether you made a mistake or not. You always have to consult third person who is elder to you, and then that person can advise you. Yes, you may not be wrong, but other person is maybe totally wrong, but he actually felt that he did the wrong thing, but you need to still tell your side of the story, what you've done and why you felt that way. And the other person may take it up and take it in the right way or wrong way. After that, it's not your responsibility. At least you actually address the issue. So address the issue. If you don't address the issue, that small issue, another small issue with the same person, they kept piling up. And that is a weight you need to carry, and the other person will also carry. And then it will lead to unnecessary confrontations. So in this example which is saying, in case here is Rupa Goswami, the saintly person. A saintly person himself went out of, means just went to find out what the cause of this. So we are ordinary persons. We should always be checking, have we committed any mistakes, and go seek out what should be the path forward. Especially if we act on it. If unknowingly you did that, but you come to know, then there's no harm just going say, Prabhu, I didn't mean it. It's not my intention. And you can say if something bothered you or something, maybe the prior impression of him caused that issue, you can openly share it. So if the devotee is a genuine devotee, he will accept it. Like once it happened in our temple. I was in the, I think in the morning or something near the altar, as taking darshan, and one person doing parikrama suddenly disappeared. He went to the back, and I don't see him. Where this guy has gone? And after 1 minute, he appears on our altar. He is in civil clothes, and he enters the altar and looking at Radha and Krishna there. And I got really panic. What did this happen? This person. So I told Prabhu, please come down. You're not supposed to be on this. And my voice was not harsh, but my voice was also not smooth. Like you get irritated kind of thing, right? Prabhu, how can you? That is not a Prabhu. But we still call everybody a Prabhu, right? Prabhu, how can you? Nobody enters. Then he comes down. This is Prabhu, you could have told me in a very gentle manner. Okay. Then I said, Prabhu, you are the first one ever in this temple who actually take parikrama, decided to walk onto the altar. So far, never happened. And also, then he says, yeah, I'm coming for the, what do you call, first time or second time here. And there the door is slightly ajar, is open, the back altar door. And as the curious, I entered into this. Then I saw the steps. I walked onto the steps. Then I ended up on the altar. And there is no here saying that private only cannot enter it. So how do I know? But still, I'm surprised by when something is not, when open said it's not on the main parikrama path, he actually entered. So then I apologized. And that, you're right. I should not have said that. But this is also not. Then he also, yes, I should have seen. Yeah, when I ended up an altar, I should have realized it. Then he said, felt sorry, and I also said sorry from our side. I said, okay, we'll take care of this next time. These things do not happen. So what we did, then we stopped. Told pujaris to close the door, and then we put a number lock, so that now normal people just don't think this yet another exploration area in the temple and end up on the altar, right? So when you come to know, then yeah, just tell them, okay, where you're coming from. And then he also understood, but I also felt bad that I requested him, gave him prasadam, made him comfortable. Please come again into the temple, all those things. So in this case, sometimes we say it because we know a rule is broken, but we said it. But maybe I could have reduced my tone a little so that he could have recognized mine genuinely, right? So you learn the lesson, right? So that's what my realization, Prabhu. Does it answer your question?
Yes, it does. Very satisfactorily. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari.
Anyone else in the room? So I'll ask my standard way of doing, because one of you online, please say one point which you had.
One point which stuck out to me was that no matter how strong you are, if you are not favored by virtue, nothing else can avail you. I realize that so much of time has previously been spent in trying to acquire some material position and very little time in making Krishna happy. But the Pandavas, though they were well esteemed in material estimation, they weren't as strong as so many other soldiers, but they were sincerely devoted to Sri Krishna, and that's the greatest lesson of the Mahabharata.
That's correct. Always depend on Krishna. Anyone else who had from the purport or from explanation of this verse?
I was just Hare Krishna, Prabhu, thank you for taking the class. I appreciate it. I was just thinking about one of our regulative principles is no gambling, and Pandavas lost two things from gambling. So it's an interesting thing when these pure devotees are engaged in activities that are not favorable for our devotional service. I don't know, maybe if you have any thoughts on commenting on that, please share.
Yeah, so the Mahabharata happened at the time in a different millennium, but the kings have this obligation that so the Yudhishthira is never wrong in this entire thing. Bhima gets angry. Yudhishthira, how can you do this? First of all, you lost our entire wealth in this dice game, and on top of it, he actually also put Draupadi as the result, and Draupadi also lost. And Draupadi asked the question: Did Yudhishthira actually put me as a pawn in this after he lost himself or before? And that's where Bhishma refused to answer, saying that he said no. And in the end, they all agree like Yudhishthira was not wrong. In the same Mahabharata, this incident he says, even Bhima, after all this, and he said, I will actually break those hands of yours, Yudhishthira. How can you do this? But then Arjuna pacifies him, and then he accepts, yes, Yudhishthira is not wrong. Yudhishthira is on the right side. Why? The answer is that when kings are being asked for a challenge, whether it's a war or a dice game, they have to accept it. And why the dice game? Because sometimes kings decide who actually should own the kingdom of others' kingdom or fight, who should own. So they decide by this kind of game, instead of fighting and killing each other's people, they found a way, like, let's play a game, and in that game, or whoever is lost, they will accept the other king as the superior. So this is their arrangement apparently we had at that time. I had this in one of the classes. I don't recall which Maharaj or who said that. So I'm repeating what I heard. So the dice game is not at all bad for a saintly person, specific, and also for kings. But ordinary persons cannot do that. Like I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm a Brahmana, I'm a Vaisya, I'm a Sudra. I can refuse that because that does not gel with me. Like if a Vaisya plays for a game, what is it trying to do? He's trying to get money only, material, like the typical dice game. If you play the gambling, the goal of that is to get the money from the other person. It's not get the knowledge of spiritual. But in case of Kshatriyas, they are deciding who should be the king, and Yudhishthira is Yudhishthira and is just following the dharma of the kings, and he's also a saintly person. So he's perfectly know what he's doing in this particular case. Okay, we can actually avoid, and if he loses also, Yudhishthira would be at peace. They are saintly kings. He had this thought in mind, oh, I'm going to lose my kingdom if I do this, then how let me cheat. He didn't cheat. But on dice game itself is not really good in the normal term. But since it's a Kshatriya who's been asked to come and participate, that is acceptable. But on the other hand, the Duryodhana team, they didn't even play the dice game in fairness. Shakuni manipulated the outcome of the dice game. So that means even other king accepted, okay, let's fight it, but he used unfair means. So that also another reason why they lost it in the real things. So for Kshatriyas, it is accepted. So Yudhishthira and Mahabharata clearly says Yudhishthira was not wrong by accepting the invitation for the dice game and playing it. But ordinary people like us, who are not Kshatriyas, that is definitely a problem. And in Kali Yuga, a specific instruction is given by our acharyas, no gambling. That's even for Kshatriyas means no gambling. This was the dharma of that time, Dwapara Yuga. But in Kali Yuga, we have been Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada clearly said, no gambling. So all of us must have to follow that. We cannot say I'm a Kshatriya, I'm a temple president, somebody in a position in Iskcon, so I can gamble away my temple property. If I win a lottery, I get a bigger temple. No, I cannot do that.
Also, when the gambling or whatever this English doesn't always convey the right meaning. It's a gambling match,
Yeah,
and we just say, okay,
it's a dice game.
Yudhishthira was at fault. But if we see in the Mahabharata, every time before it was the turn of Yudhishthira to throw the dice, he would say, I don't want to do this. Don't make me do this. And nobody was listening to stop the match. So you are very correct. He was basically obligated is a weak word. He was forced to play the game.
Play the game.
And there was no option for him to not do that. It was not an option.
Yeah.
If we think that gambling it's an option, don't enter the casino, don't gamble away all your wealth. Many years ago, we were visiting Las Vegas and we went to a casino. I saw one guy, $5,000 cash.
Oh.
He came in 2 or 3, whatever, I don't remember which game or whatever. Just lost and just walked out of the casino. $5,000. That was probably more than the cost of our entire vacation. Within 5 minutes, he just came in, put it whatever. I could see his face somewhere, and he just walked out with a very morose face. I don't know how much hard work he had to put in to earn those $5,000. Within 5 minutes, it was gone.
Yeah.
And that person, I was just looking at what you call the houseman, just took away the money. If I was that one, I would have probably said, okay, take it back or whatever, don't come again here. Just took it and put it in the
box. Yeah.
In the box. Oh my God, $5,000.
Yeah, so gambling actually for us in the Kali destroys the truthfulness. So basically what is the principle which is broken here, if you have to remember that. So you should know anything that basically puts us in the breaking the laws, the truthfulness, we should be thinking about twice, thrice and not to do it. So, but Mahabharata clearly answers that question, Yudhishthira is not at fault. But for us, definitely, because we've been given a specific instruction, so we must follow. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yeah, yeah, great. Thank you.
Anyone else can share what they heard? If you don't have a question, 2 more minutes.
I can share. The two things, one is retire timely. More than the word retire, the timely word is more important, I think.
Yeah.
Everybody has to retire, if not, they'll be forced to retire. But the key part is to do it ourselves and timely. And the other thing we realize is there are so many mistakes we make, mistakes or not mistake, offenses, like, just sitting quiet in the assembly. And that all happens even today. So much is going on, and many people are sitting quiet. So in that sense, they are culpable. And then when some bad things happen, then we wonder why it is happening, what did I do? And ask all these questions, why do bad things happen to good people and all that? That we should understand from Mahabharata what is the definition of good. Even just sitting on the side and watching other people get oppressed, is making us culpable.
Yeah, that's
And we understand how the standard of goodness is really, really high.
so that's true. So in our life situation, something like that, maybe some situation in our devotional life that puts us in such a situation. So always be on the right side, truthful, and speak about it. Even if it outcome is probably which you may like it, may not like it, you must speak the truth, your heart. Then at least you've done your part. Right? Don't be silent, or based on this, at least walk away from such an assembly. If you cannot do anything, then at least don't be part of such an assembly. Right? So with that, thank you, Prabhu, for giving us Prabhu's Portland here, giving an opportunity. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thanks again, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare
Beautiful
Krishna.
class.
Prabhuji, thank you so much for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.